guys, it's Sam, and today I want to talk about the series I want to continue, either completed series that I want to catch up on, or series that I just plan on continuing in general that I have started. This was a video topic that was voted on by my Bibliothecary supporters, so every month my supporters of the Bibliothecary get to vote in a poll for a video topic that I will do, and this month actually there was a tie, and I'm going to do both of them because one is going to be on this channel, which is this one, and one is going to be on my other channel, which will be talking more about video games. So I will link the Bibliothecary on the screen if you're interested in contributing to my content in that way, along with a number of other perks that they get over there. And then my other channel is linked down below if you want to hear me talk about stuff besides books. But I've done this video in the past. I think the last time I did this was like maybe 2019, but there have been series that I have since started that I kind of want to talk about. I'm not covering every single series that I plan on continuing. There's a lot of series that I've talked about enough that I think you guys know that I'm going to be continuing to read them, like the Expanse series, Song of Shattered Sands, some of those. So this is not an exhaustive list. This is 10 series that I plan on continuing, but most of them are ones that I started fairly recently within the last year or so, and also ones that I do get asked questions about as far as if I'll be continuing, when I'm going to read the next books in the series, etc. So the first and one that I actually do want to try to catch up on this year and finish, because it is one of my reading goals this year, is the Ryaria Revelation series by Michael J. Sullivan. This is an adult fantasy series following two master thieves who have managed to get pulled into all the machinations of the politics of this world and everything kind of going on. That's a very vague summary, but I'm not going to go into summaries for every single series. A lot of these are pretty well known. But I have these two books to finish. This one is on my TBR for this month actually, so I'm hoping to get to it this month. And these are just two that I wanted to finish up for this series this year. Most of the series on this list I'm not going to be finishing this year. We then have the Locked Tomb series by Tamsin Muir. The second book is out, and that is Harrow the Ninth. This is a adult science fiction fantasy blend series that follows lesbian necromancers in space. And it's very weird. Lots of bone magic, lots of death. It's an odd series, and I really enjoyed the first book, and you guys really convinced me to continue on to the second one, which I wasn't sure if I was going to do because I was totally fine with how the first one ended. This one is one that I will very likely read in the fall. It's a very fall book, so if I do read it this year, which hopefully I will, it will be in the fall. And that'll be caught up because the third book is not out yet. I think people have told me that the third book's not coming out until like 2022, so I'm not in the biggest rush to read this, but still, Halloween time. Then we have one that I get asked about a lot, and that is the Daevabad trilogy by S.A. Chakraborty. This is an adult fantasy series that takes place in, I think, 18th century, like Cairo, but it's in the land of the Jinn. Very cool. And people ask me about it all the time. I just don't have the next two books in the series. And as you guys know, I tend to prioritize the books that are already on my shelf. So my birthday is this summer. It's in August. I'm a Leo. So I will likely ask for the next books in the series. And in some of these that I don't have on my shelves for my birthday, that's one of the times, birthday and Christmas, when I tend to get most of my books that then last me the whole year. So I will be continuing to read this. I really want to. And I said when I first read this that I wanted to continue ASAP. I just haven't had the books, the time, and the motivation. And I really want to be super invested in these when I'm reading them. So reading them during a slump, not what I want to do. Hopefully by the time I get them, I will be out of this slump. Then we have the Wayfarer series by Becky Chambers. It's an adult science fiction series that is more like slice of life. I think someone said it's called like hope punk, where it's a more optimistic future, although bad stuff still happens. It's not like super grim sci-fi, so I really love it. And I've been meaning to continue this series for so long. I think I read this it wasn't even the second book of the series, it was like the third one, because you can read them out of order. They're kind of companions. I think I read that like 2 or 3 years ago. So I still need to read the second book in this series and then the fourth one, which is the most recent one. So I do plan on continuing with these. Again, just don't own them right now, but they're so lovely, and I actually really like reading them in summer, so maybe I should try to get onto those. Next is very similar to the Daevabad trilogy, and that is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. I do definitely plan on reading these. Again, I just don't own them right now. Sarah Jane actually just finished the series, and she's like, I can't wait to talk to you about this series, so I do plan on reading it. Just, again, not a series I necessarily want to read in a slump, although a lot of these are like favorite series, so maybe one of these would get me out of a slump. I don't know. I just don't like putting a lot of pressure on books when I'm in a slump for me to enjoy them, so I don't tend to prioritize books that I think that I'll like during a slump. It's a really weird way my brain works, but these are books that I do plan on continuing with. Next is one that I've probably been asked about the most recently, and that is the King of Scars duology with Rule of Wolves by Leigh Bardugo. It's the final book in the duology, and people keep asking me, like, when are you gonna review it? I haven't read it yet. I don't own it. I didn't pre-order it. I actually plan on getting this one from my library because I didn't like King of Scars, really. It was like a 2 to 3 star. I think it's actually gone down in my feelings as time has passed because I was so disappointed in it. So although I love the Grishaverse with all of my heart, this duology is really not meeting my expectations, so I'm not in a huge rush. And again, because I'm super slumpy, the last thing I want to do right now is read a book that I'm not looking forward to at all and that I think will disappoint me. I have to tread very carefully in a slump. So this has not been one that I've prioritized, but I will eventually get it from my library. Also, I haven't even checked on like how long the wait is because it is obviously like a popular author and series and stuff. So it might take a while. I should probably get on the whole list for that. But I do plan on reading it. Just, I don't know when that's gonna be. I oddly haven't heard that many people talking about it either. Don't talk about it in the comments. I don't really want to know. But it's been a book that like you would think I would be hearing a lot about. I'm just not. Then we have the Between Earth and Sky series by Rebecca Roanhorse. The first book was Black Sun. This is one that like the next books aren't even out yet, but I just want to make abundantly clear that this is a series that I will definitely be continuing. This is a, I would say, epic adult fantasy series. I don't know how many books it's going to be that's inspired by Native American folklore mythology. I'm not sure if they've ever said the exact tribe. Someone else can tell me in the comments if there's a certain tribe that it's sort of based on. But I was like head over heels for this first book and plan on continuing this series whenever it comes out. I read the first one on audio, and I plan on continuing them on audio. I think the narration is super good. Next we have The Last Hours by Cassandra Clare. Yes, I pre-ordered Chain of Iron. I could probably read this sooner rather than later because although it's chunky, these books are just like cotton candy. So yes, I do plan on continuing with this series. I only am reading Cassandra Clare's like historical fantasies. I mention this every time because people are always telling me to read the more modern stuff. I'm not going to. I'm only really interested in these. So I do plan on continuing with this series. And this one I can see myself reading within the next couple of months, even if I stay slumpy, because it is so easy for me to read. Next we have The Beautiful by Renee Ahdieh. I think that's the name of the series. I know it's the first book. Might have another name. But this is a historical YA sort of like paranormal series that takes place in New Orleans and eventually gets into like following like vampires and other kinds of like paranormal creatures that are sort of in like the underbelly of this world. I'm really enjoying these, like as, again, cotton candy fluff books. I don't love this series as much as I loved The Wrath and the Dawn. That's still like top tier, but this for just being like sort of fun, paranormal, again, like cotton candy, I do plan on continuing with this series, kind of whichever direction it goes. I don't have the highest hopes for this series, which almost make it more fun to read because it's like, okay, whatever happens, like I'm here. Whatever, I'll go with whatever. And lastly, we have the Terra Ignota series by Ada Palmer. This is another adult science fiction series that is very weird. I don't even know if I could describe it to you, so I'm gonna leave my review for the first book on the screen. This is the second book, and I read the first book like maybe 2 or 3 years ago at this point, so I really need to get back to it because I'm gonna forget probably a lot. But this is a, I don't know how many books it's gonna be, 4 or 5, maybe more, series that is set in this, again, science fiction world. One of the main characters that you're following is sort of like an unreliable narrator, possibly not a good, well, not a good person, but like you find that out sort of like later. It's a series that is so interesting and unlike anything else I've ever read in the way that it like challenges you as the reader and like morals and ethics and all of this stuff within this really weird science fiction world. So I want to get back to it. It's very odd. It requires like big brain at times, but not in the way that it's like overly scientific, mathematical like that. It's not hard sci-fi, I wouldn't say. It's just weird. So that is it for some of the series that I plan on catching up on. Comment down below, let me know if you have any series that are sort of part of your goals for ones you want to catch up on, finish, whether it's this year or in the future. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see all of you guys soon. Bye.